A Streetcar Named Desire is a famous play written by American playwright Tennessee Williams. It was first performed in 1947 and has since become a classic of American theater. The story revolves around the character of Blanche DuBois, a troubled and fragile woman who moves in with her sister, Stella, and her brother-in-law, Stanley, in New Orleans. The play explores themes of desire, mental instability, class conflict, and the decline of the Old South. Blanche DuBois, the main character, is a complex figure who grapples with a troubled past and a desire for a better life. Her clashes with Stanley, a rough and aggressive character, drive much of the play's tension and drama. As the story unfolds, Blanche's mental state deteriorates, leading to a tragic and dramatic climax. The play has been adapted into various films and has been widely studied and analyzed for its exploration of psychological and social themes. It is known for its memorable characters and powerful depiction of human struggles. A Streetcar Named Desire is set in New Orleans in the late 1940s, and the historical and cultural context of this time period significantly influences the characters and themes of the play. Post-World War II America, the play takes place in the years immediately following World War II. This was a time of significant social change in America. The war had led to economic growth, but it also brought about shifts in gender roles and expectations. Men who had returned from the war often found themselves in a different world from the one they had left, and women had gained more independence during their absence. These changes are reflected in the dynamics between the characters in the play. The South in transition. The South was undergoing a period of transformation during this time. The Old South, with its traditions of aristocracy and gentility, was giving way to the New South, characterized by industrialization and a more modern way of life. Blanche DuBois represents the fading Old South, clinging to her family's plantation and traditional values, while Stanley Kowalski embodies the gritty, urban New South. This clash of cultures is a central theme of the play. Racial segregation. The play alludes to the racial segregation and discrimination prevalent in the South during the 1940s. While the issue is not central to the plot, it is evident in the background of the story, particularly in the setting of New Orleans. This context adds depth to the play's exploration of social issues and divisions. Psychological and emotional impact of war. The psychological scars of World War II are subtly reflected in the characters. Stanley's aggressive and dominating behavior can be seen as a response to the wartime experiences he and his friends may have endured. Blanche's fragile mental state may also be influenced by the trauma of the war, as well as personal tragedies she has faced. Changing gender roles. The play explores shifting gender roles and expectations in post-war America. Blanche represents a traditional Southern femininity characterized by fragility and dependence on men. Stella, on the other hand, is more assertive and willing to embrace her role as a wife and mother. These differences reflect the evolving roles of women in society at the time. A Streetcar Named Desire explores several key themes, which contribute to the complexity and depth of the play. Here are some of the main thematic elements. Desire and repression. Desire is a central theme in the play, both in terms of sexual desire and the desire for a better life. Blanche, Stanley, and Stella all grapple with their desires in different ways. Blanche tries to repress her desires and hide her past, while Stanley is more open about his desires. This contrast leads to conflict and tragedy. Reality versus illusion. Blanche lives in a world of illusion, trying to escape her troubled past by creating a false persona. This theme highlights the tension between appearances and reality, as well as the consequences of living in denial. Class conflict. The play explores class differences, with Blanche representing the fading aristocracy of the Old South, and Stanley representing the working-class New Orleans. The clash between these two worlds reflects broader social changes in America. Sexuality and gender roles. The play delves into the complexities of sexuality and traditional gender roles. Blanche's past experiences and the power dynamics between the characters highlight the constraints placed on women in the mid-20th century. Isolation and loneliness. Many characters in the play struggle with isolation and loneliness. Blanche is emotionally isolated due to her past, and Stella faces isolation from her family because of her relationship with Stanley. This theme underscores the alienation and disconnection experienced by the characters. Violence and brutality. The play contains moments of physical and emotional violence, particularly in the interactions between Blanche and Stanley. This violence underscores the harsh realities of life and the destructive consequences of unchecked aggression. The decline of the Old South. Blanche's character and her family history represent the decline of the aristocratic Old South in the face of a changing America. This theme reflects the broader cultural shifts taking place in the post-World War II South.